Welcome to Reckless Speculation. And I want to be the first to say, you do not see Raj. But can I get a show of hands at how many people did I tell Raj we're covering his school first, don't be late? Everybody else get that text? Yeah, that text went out. Raj, you wasn't supposed to be late. But join us tonight on Reckless Speculation on the Marion Messenger. Up in the right and that corner, dear friend of ours from the Speakeasy 330 in Michigan, the original Wolverine, the Detroit Lion, the Tiger Lover, the Piston Bastard, Tom Sloan. What's up, buddy?
Fucking Lions. What's happening? What's happening?
You've earned that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're learned at an early age the team's going to disappoint us every year. But that's okay.
It's okay. Well, we're Tennessee fans except for Shane, and we learned that they're just going to break your heart every time.
I've got some family that went to Tennessee, so I can kind of relate to you guys. So
we get so close. Even the World Series is here, but I don't want to talk about that. I digress. Well, we've got Tom on here tonight, and Raj may be joining us too. Let's see if that's him. Oh, there he is. Look at
2 minutes. It's pretty good.
He done really good. He was only 2 minutes late.
Yes.
Introduced our guest. That's Tom Sloan from Speakeasy. He's Raj.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for being here,
Robbie Davis.
yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Here
That's
we go.
the coolest set I've ever seen in my life.
You don't like my?
Yeah, this is the garage turned sports bar thanks to COVID. So my co-host Rich Jasper and I put our heads together and we put this together. So it's become
Looks
quite
great.
the neighborhood
awesome.
setup. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, I see the garage door now. Usually I'm in my office, but my wife's out of town, so I'm kid watching with one eye.
Rich,
you can see my microwave
right now,
nice
right?
microwave.
Rich is up in Pigeon Forge at the Cal Ripken baseball experience right now.
He was there last week. Yeah, he was there last week. He's home now. He had some baseball today with the kids. So it's awesome.
All right, all the good things out of the way. Here we go. USC UCLA, the biggest shift in college football in the last year since Oklahoma and Texas left.
Yeah.
The Big 12. We'll start with you, Raj. Then I want to move up to you, Tom. Raj, as a USC guy, what was your feelings when you heard the news?
I've got a lot to say about this, so I'd rather hear Tom's perspective. But the one thing I'll say is it's about money and money only. And I'm actually excited now. But, yeah, I mean, Tom's here for a reason, so I'd love to hear his perspective before I drone on for 2 hours about this.
All right, Tom, you are the big guy. You just welcomed the 2 LA teams into your conference.
Well, I look at it this way. I agree it's about money, but you look at what's going on in the SEC with Texas and Oklahoma joining. That's huge for the SEC. And I think the Big Ten has always kind of been the second fiddle conference in the country, and they were looking for a big splash. And then you flip the switch with USC with Lincoln Riley coming in, big time recruits, looking to make a splash immediately, wants notoriety. And I think we all know the Pac-12 doesn't really provide that with their primetime games. You look at their primetime games, 10 o'clock, 10:30 on the East Coast. Not many people are watching. So I really think they looked at it in that regard as this gives them an opportunity to get some more eyeballs watching them play that they wouldn't normally have. Also spreads their recruitment out a little bit so they can get some of them big hogs from the Midwest, maybe going to the West Coast. But ultimately, like you said, it's about money. It's about making the conference bigger. UCLA, I'm not too sure, how much they're going to bring to the table. But the addition to USC puts the Big Ten right up there. I mean, I wouldn't say they're at SEC level yet, but they're close. And as a Big Ten fan, I'm excited about it. It'd be interesting to see how the scheduling goes, but I think ultimately, when at the end of the day, it's going to be a big win for USC, UCLA, and the Big Ten.
Robbie Davis, he brought up a point you have harped on for the last year with Pac-12 football. It's the time it appears on the national stage. Does this give them a chance now to get into prime time, to get their product in front of more eyes?
Well, so it's important that it's these two schools. Because you do have LA, while it is back to being a brand new NFL market, it is an NFL market. So you have the early kickoffs. Look, the Rose Bowl and the Coliseum, they're going to be packed again, at least for this next few iterations. Mm-hmm. All the Midwest schools are going to want to go there for the road trip. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be an atmosphere. USC's those pro mix-over fans are used to early football games. And then I also think that this feels – I was shocked when it happened, but it feels a little less weird than other kind of large geographical jumps.
Like Missouri to the SEC.
Because of the tradition that the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl, the Pac-12 have, like they play each other. And so it's not as foreign as I thought it was going to be the more I thought about it. Now, USC at Rutgers, at Maryland will never feel normal. But the core Big Ten schools and USC and UCLA, I think, are not going to feel that weird once we get going.
But that's a great point, what you said about LA. Now you got the LA market in the Big Ten. Yep. You've got New York with Rutgers. You've got Chicago at Northwestern. And you got the DMV with Maryland. I mean, that spans the country. I mean, from Jersey Shore to, the West Coast to Southern California. Yep. So that's a huge thing about the outreach, and it makes them and their TV contract that much more appealing. They got their $1 billion, probably going to be more now. Sure. Their reports, they're looking at not only ESPN and Fox, but Amazon, Apple, who's now trying to do sports, TNT, you name it. Everybody's going to be, jumping in it. And the SEC is going to benefit greatly when they renegotiate, with this being the first one. And the SEC, even though the markets are much smaller, they have a much greater viewing population, in my opinion. Yeah. And, they're going to kill it as well. ESPN and Fox have rights to the Big Ten right now. ESPN is all SEC, and they have their own network. But, yeah, in the end, it's about – and academically, yes, USC and UCLA are very strong academic schools. Most of the Big Ten has very reputable academic institutions. Logistically, I would think that Oregon, maybe Cal or Stanford would join. Cal at least backs up the academics, but also if you have a team like Rutgers traveling to the West Coast to play UCLA, flying back 3,000 miles seems silly. And, there's other sports they could cover at that time too in that area in the fall and winter. If you're on the West Coast, may as well go to Oregon or, the Bay Area market and the Portland market. And, so.
You got Seattle too, Washington.
Seattle and Washington, yeah. In the end, it's about money, and I think they'll make more logistical decisions in the end. But right now, I think they're at 16, just as the SEC will be.
I think the Big Ten doesn't the Big Ten. I saw a map recently, or a layout. They're hoping for maybe even 20, which you could break it down to four divisions, which that's feasible to me. I think that would be really good.
The national championship would be the Big Ten winner versus the SEC winner.
Oh yeah, no question about it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely coming down to that.
I think
As an Ohio State fan, Shane, what do you think?
So we talked a little bit about this last week on a kind of the emergency show here, and I was caught off guard completely. There were no talks about it. Nobody knew anything, and we all follow sports pretty regularly. I mean, we're on social media and whatever other feeds that you want, and nothing about it happened. You didn't hear anything, and then all of a sudden this pops up, and it was a shock at first, but I get it. Like, especially to Robbie's point, having the Rose Bowl, the Big Ten, Pac-12. I mean, it kind of fits. I'm just curious. Now, if we do go to 20, I could see Oregon, maybe Oregon State, Washington coming in. But
Notre
Oregon
Dame.
Well, here's my take on Notre Dame. I think they're going to join the Big Ten in everything but football. And I think they're going to try and freelance football just like they've been doing. And I think they're going to get enough revenue.
Let's hold right there, because that's a question I've got. Hold your thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a whole topic on its own. But no, I mean we're heading toward. Sorry.
Hold on just a second, because he made the point. I want everybody to expand on it. Give everybody equal opportunity. We'll go back to Shane, then to Robbie, and Tom. I do think 20 is the magic number, and that's I've read 20 is the magic number. 20 is the magic number. 20 is the magic number. At 16, I think obviously you got to take Oregon or Washington. I think Notre Dame is the dream school and brings more to the table than anybody left. I think there is a need, as Rich Jasper is saying here, for the Big Ten to get Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Both sides. Need on both ends.
They make enough money independently.
Who is that fourth team that the Big Ten would add? And then are you in favor of Oregon, Washington? Shane, Robbie, Tom, and then we'll come to Raj. But Shane, to follow up your thought right there.
No, I mean, I could see a scenario, like I was saying, where Notre Dame kind of tippy toes in and commits to the Big Ten with everything but football, and see to where they still have kind of free reign and be the Notre Dame that they've always been. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll see how much money's thrown at them and TV contracts, whatever. But yeah, they would be a great addition to the Big Ten. I've been saying for years they need to find a conference anyway, and I know they've got the agreement with the ACC kind of schedule-wise right now, and I think that's could be kind of what they're defending, joining football. But I'd love to see them in the Big Ten. Like, it'd be great for the conference, great on both sides, great for both parties. But yeah, I definitely think that Oregon, if we get to that 20 number, Oregon's definitely in. Washington is probably another high probability. And I'm stretching on the fourth one. Possibly Oregon State, maybe Cal.
I'd bring in BYU and Utah. I mean, BYU has its own network. They carry a religion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money there.
How about
them?
I've heard talk about North Carolina, but let's go to Robbie. Where do you think it goes from here?
Yes, I mean, I think it's kind of the writings on the wall. Look, it's going to be 20 and 20, and it's going to shape up. It's going to mirror the AFC and the NFC and NFL. We're going to have the NFL system on Saturdays.
Good point.
And a couple things. So the three that I think are the most so if you're the Big Ten, I think you get Oregon and Washington, get that Pacific Northwest market. Those are the easiest they're going to come. Then for my third pick, any of these, I agree with Raj. BYU's appealing, Pittsburgh's appealing, and UNC. So I'm picking one of those three.
Yep.
And then I'm going to Notre Dame, and I'm saying, look, you think you have the power, but the writing's on the wall, and we're about to close these doors, and it's going to be it's going to be Big Ten, SEC, and we're putting our 7 best, their 7 best, they're playing it into the college football playoff, and so. Yeah, and I want to say, didn't the Big Ten already reject that deal? Isn't that why the Notre Dame's in the ACC and the all sports but football?
I think Notre Dame rejected it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Notre Dame wants to stay freelance.
We're right, but yeah, I mean, Notre Dame can't schedule people. I mean, who are you gonna once these teams are once these conferences are locked up, you're not going to be able to schedule a schedule that's worthy of it, even if they gave you a seat at the table. But why in the heck would they give you a seat at the table if you're Notre Dame? And also,
but they've been doing it.
I know, but the NCAA is gone. The NCAA is done.
I know, but everybody still wants that money. I mean, they're still
without NBC pays Notre Dame, I think, $30 or $40 million a year. You're talking about $100 million a year. That's 8-figure increase in a Big Ten contract. No, NBC's not going to pay just for Notre Dame package them playing Navy and Army.
With an opportunity to play in a championship game, a conference championship game.
Greater opportunity, absolutely.
That's why I don't know. I think they could kind of go that way and commit all sports except football somehow.
They're in the Big Ten in hockey.
Yeah, and basketball, ACC. Yeah, you're right. They're all over the map when it comes to sports.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
I'm going to tell you why this can't happen. Then we'll go to Tom. If Notre Dame makes this mistake, they're playing a sub-Power 5 schedule.
Yep.
They're playing Cincinnati. They're playing Texas Tech. They're playing TCU. You're not going to get games with Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, unless you are in the little clique. And it's worth coming to, because if you're at 40 with the SEC and the Big Ten, you are the national championship.
Yeah, well, if it goes to 20-20, there's no room for out-of-conference games.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Now, USC was very adamant about keeping, USC Notre Dame is the longest running intercontinental rivalry there is. They used to take the train in the 20s across the country. USC wanted to bring that rivalry and UCLA, and like Shane said, Ohio State, Michigan. The Big Ten's going to rake it in, but you're right. I mean, there's not going to be any room at, who's the national champion that gets to play Rutgers and Maryland and avoids, USC and Ohio State.
Yeah, right.
So logistically, it's going to be interesting, but we all want to see those matchups. I mean, I'd love to see Tennessee, USC, Tennessee, Ohio State. Yeah. So they better figure something out, because right now,
Let me shoot up to Tom. Finish your conference out. You're at 16.
I think I agree. I think it's Oregon. I think it's Washington. And here's my reason why I do believe Notre Dame probably will join the Big Ten, is because the latest I've heard is the SEC is going after some of the ACC teams. They want, Clemson. And so that's going to take, their strength of schedule out of the play when it comes to Notre Dame. So I think they're going to realize that without having the ability to have that conference championship game, they're never going to get in the college football playoff system.
Exactly.
They're just by default, they're going to get left out. So I think they're going to swallow their pride and realize it is in their best interest, and it's also in the best interest of the Big Ten to join. And Robbie nailed it. I think Pitt would be a really good team to go after. They always have, a solid season. You look at an interstate rivalry with Penn State, that would be a big draw.
Yeah.
Possibly. They're a prototypical Big Ten type of team. Pro style quarterback. They have a good running game. Big offensive lineman. So I think that would pretty much sure up the East Coast. So I think that could be the fourth possible new team to join the Big Ten. That would just kind of like round out the whole country. You got coverage, except maybe in Florida, but I don't see them going after any Florida team. So I think Pitt would be a really good choice
What
over
about
North
Big
Carolina.
Ten?
Definitely
Notre
struck
Dame to the
first
SEC.
as the national conference. What?
Notre Dame to the SEC. Now,
I was going to ask
for
that
a
same
number of
question.
reasons, probably academically, no offense.
We don't want
But I mean, you guys already go to Missouri, so what's like one state over or something, right?
Yeah.
Missouri is connected to Arkansas and Tennessee, so at least we're connected.
Is
Well, no,
Indiana connected to Arkansas or
But
Missouri?
look,
I'm not sure. I can't remember. No, they're connected to Ohio. Wait, there's no SEC teams in Ohio. Never mind.
I wouldn't say it's as far fetched as you think. Look,
Yeah.
the Big Ten just counterpunched with they're now the nationwide conference.
Yep.
And so the SEC's got to start looking at, all right, they're a power player, but it's still regional, even though it's the biggest brand and some of the biggest, but it's all cyclicals, right? So there needs to be where can they reach out? And Notre Dame is one that it could. I mean, hell, Notre Dame's they're going down to Miami. They're in the ACC already. The SEC schools, a lot of them are closer anyways. So
Indiana touches Kentucky.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw some rumors out to you, and I'll get some reaction here. Georgia Tech in the Atlanta market is supposedly being considered as a Big Ten target. Would Georgia Tech be worth a spot to capture the Atlanta market?
Academically, yeah, they're
Yeah.
much more aligned with the Big Ten. And Atlanta, it's not a huge viewing population, but it's like LA. It's a transplant city like Chicago. So I'm sure they would pick up viewership. I mean, if you live in Atlanta, would you want to watch Georgia Tech football? I think that would make a ton of sense, actually, and I didn't even think about that. That's a great point.
That's like them picking up Rutgers a few years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
academically, as a football school, not so much, but academically, it kind of solidified the Big Ten. So,
Well said.
Robbie, as the SEC guy, along with myself, it does not make sense to bring teams in that look exactly like other teams. Thus, Florida State becomes very much looking like the University of Florida. Clemson looks very much like South Carolina. To open new markets, you really got to go into Virginia and North Carolina. I think Clemson gets in off the name alone if they are willing. I think Miami brings South Florida. But what about North Carolina State or Virginia Tech? One of the lesser teams in the ACC, but we saw what Texas A&M did by joining the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at, essentially if we're going off the premise that it's going to 20 and 20, that's 4 teams to add. So yeah, I think Virginia Tech is a great football school. It's a great market in the DC area. I think you also, as sad as it is, I think they jump over Florida State, go down to Miami for that market. Clemson's not going to be left out of this football powerhouse. So Clemson's going to come, even though it's a small market, but it's still the powerhouse that be. Then you got one left, and
do you not have to get into North Carolina?
Well, so that's what I was going. UNC's this wild card. I think they land somewhere. I don't think you can go to NC State before you go to UNC. I think Carolina is your first call, and they're a good basketball program. They're a good brand. You got the Jordan brand. That's just a good market. I think SEC goes after them.
And that's a very valid point, and that's the entire reason we brought UCLA into the Big Ten is the basketball side of that. So we're all talking in football lingo here, but we got to remember the other sports with big markets that bring in that kind of dough, and UNC would be a fantastic fit in the SEC with basketball.
And SEC's kind of the last couple of years have been on the up and up, specifically in basketball. Sure. So you add the Tar Heels to the mix.
Oh yeah, you got Kentucky and Carolina
and it
that's a great TV
and it
draw,
fits
basketball
because
wise.
it fits because the football's good enough and
Yeah.
could potentially get better with being in that market, So it's not just completely one-sided. So I do like that.
In that scenario, though, with say Virginia Tech, Miami, Clemson, and UNC, man, the Vols are the big loser there. That circle of recruiting that Tennessee draws from, that a lot of that is gone about, hey, come play in the SEC now. But that's bad news for the Vols.
Yeah,
But that NIL makes everything kind of level playing field. You never what school's going to come with what?
Yeah, we're talking about the Big Ten getting $100 million a year for each school. This is the Big Ten is gonna sign the Mahomes contract, and then the SEC is coming after that and be like, all right, y'all just set the floor. We're coming back. It's gonna be coming back and forth.
All right, I got a couple questions I want to get out real fast. First one's going to go to Tom. You're the only one in Big Ten country. What has been the reaction locally to the news of USC and UCLA?
I think generally it's excitement because, like I said earlier, the Big Ten really, outside of the Midwest, I don't think it gets the respect it deserves. Sometimes that's legitimate, but I think as a Big Ten fan and as most people around here, right in the middle, I'm just outside Ann Arbor, East Lansing's right down the road. Excitement because, Michigan State's coming with lots of recruits, and obviously Ohio State's always going to bring it, and Jim Harbaugh's Jim Harbaugh. We won't go there, but people are excited. I think they see what, USC's coming with, and I just that opportunity. And like we talked earlier, there's already a tradition in place. These schools playing each other. So I think the opportunity for a Michigan fan to go out in October to play in the Rose Bowl, that's exciting for anybody, any Big Ten fan. So, in this area, it's pretty exciting. You do have your naysayers that don't understand the logistical reasons for it, but they don't understand that the Big Ten ultimately becomes the conference of the country. From corner to corner, you're representatives. So we're pretty excited.
Well, and I'll touch on one thing real quick. Ohio State's a huge beneficiary of this because let's not forget about the transfer portal. All of a sudden, you got kids that, I'm going to Southern Cal, I'm going to UCLA. You're playing in front of an empty stadium, or you do. All of a sudden, I go to the Horseshoe, the Big House, Wisconsin. These atmospheres. Oh wow! Like, hey, maybe my senior year I transfer to go play somewhere else, or
there's already steal enough kids from California.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're already kind of recruiting from the West Coast.
Michigan and Ohio State do recruit well on the West Coast. So,
it'll kind of solidify some of that, I think.
All right, Raj, next question for you, and then Shane, I got one for you to finish up this segment. Well, I'll go to Shane first. Shane, do you believe that how many comments we've got about people wanting to beat Ohio State in the Big House? It seems to be the number one comment of all of this.
Hey, when you're on top, you got a target on your back, baby. So that's all they want to do. So
it's a good problem to have.
I agree.
Let's go. I saw a comment earlier. I can't remember who was it. Said something about, can you imagine USC at the Horseshoe beating up on USC or something like that? That would be fantastic.
We were there like 5 years ago.
No, I know. But again, if this becomes a every year, 2 year deal, that'd be pretty sweet. And to go to the Rose Bowl, in October or whatever, would be pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Raj,
so we'll definitely go to a game, Raj, when that happens.
You have been the Pac-12 truther. You have stood up when many have criticized you, including me. When you said Lincoln Riley didn't run from the SEC, I was like, oh, yeah, he did. But in my heart, if the SEC folded tomorrow, I would just it's my childhood. is there part of you that leaves the Pac-12 behind that now goes, wow, that's the end of an era. That's dead now.
That's a great question, actually.
Really good.
Do I think that Southerners are more proud of their region and where they're from? Yes. The Pac-12, though, it does make sense. And I don't know if they're going to be, they're the conference of champions because they dominate overall, but that's because swimming, volleyball, they have sports that go year round. At first I was, the Pac-12 is USC. They're the marquee program. Them in Oregon, it goes way back. But then when I started thinking about it, I got excited. And it's not because of $100 million going to a school and it's not because the Pac-12 network, I have to stand on my roof with bunny ears and tinfoil on my head just to get it. It's just an exciting matchup. And yeah, academically, it aligns itself. Maybe this does. I've always hated the regional bias, pro-regional, my conference this, my conference that. I mean, Tennessee fans going, yeah, SEC. Well, you're competing against Alabama. They're taking your recruits. And maybe this, I'm never going to go Big Ten. Yeah, Big Ten. Like maybe this will help eliminate some of that and just let people root for their school. Great question. Initially, yes, but when I thought about it, no. I'm stoked on it. Most people in LA are really excited about it. Again, logistically, it's weird traveling 3,000 miles. The Big Ten has 9 a.m. games, 12 o'clock games, which is like on the West Coast. If I woke up hungover at like 11, it would be like the third quarter of a Big Ten game. I'm like, what the hell is happening? They've got to figure things out, and I'm sure they will. Another thing, I'm not going to lie, being a USC guy, I don't think there's going to be many USC Rutgers games. Like they're going to start out playing the big boys. So that may suck. But USC all-time is 75-31, and I wrote it down, 3 against the Big Ten. There's only one team. They have no losing records. Michigan State is 4-4. Ohio State is 10-13-1. Michigan is 4-6, and Penn State is 4-6.
And 2 bad losses in a Rose Bowl game.
98% of that, exactly. I was at that Rose Bowl game. 98% of those were 45 years ago. But, I mean, just the fact that I just named 4 teams that they have history with.
Yep.
Exactly. That's why it fits.
And basketball, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tom, to follow up on that, it was the first thing that hit my mind. And, Robbie, I want to swing around about this Miami comment from Justin Thomas in just a second. This creates a very interesting climate to play college football. You got USC maybe going to Madison in November, or Wisconsin to UCLA in September. And I've long said that one of the hardest things that's not accepted in the SEC is you play in Florida, you play in Mississippi, you play in Louisiana. Until you've sat through a game at the freaking Rose Bowl at 102 degrees or in Gainesville when it was 104.
No humidity.
It's really bad. But I don't want to – if I'm USC, I don't want to be playing in Madison at 12 degrees either. How's that going to affect the conference?
Well, I think it's going to it's going to make these teams recruit as such, I think. You look at most of like the SEC schools, they're not playing in the snow. Going up to Madison in early November and on, it's not fun. So it really takes a lot of the speed out of the game. So I think the West Coast teams have a lot of speed. I think that'll, bring them down to earth a little bit. So it's going to make these schools really recruit a little bit differently, get a little different kind of players on their side that will be more antiquated to be used to playing in the cold weather. So that's where I think USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, if they come in, they're going to look to the Midwest kids, the Ohio kids, which, the state of Ohio just pumps out college football players left and right. So you're going to see a lot of these kids choosing to go to the West Coast because they're being recruited for late season games when they mean the most, because those games are going to be scheduled late in the season. The USC's, the Ohio State, any game that's going to matter, it's more than likely going to be toward the end of the season. And if it's on this side of town, this side of the country, you better have a player that's prepared to play in 10 degrees, 15-degree wind, rain, snow, anything. So it's going to change the way you see a lot of these schools recruit.
I agree entirely. But by the way, Frank Hale's comments, that guy's hilarious. Spot on. Keep it up,
My
Frank.
father-in-law. It's my father-in-law in the house.
He's classic. Pullman, Washington in November is not exactly paradise.
That's true. That's true.
Oregon State. Why can't I think of the name? I'm mad at myself.
Corvallis.
Corvallis. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Utah's not great either.
Chain's buddies with
that's
Wayne
true.
Tinkle. Chain is, and Utah's the same. Now SC traditionally gets them on Friday night at Rice Eccles, which is horrible in September. But no, I mean, I do think stylistically it's going to change things. There's no doubt. It'll take a few years to adjust. UCLA is certainly a warm weather team. Maybe not this year with Zach Charbonnet, the Michigan transfer, a beast. But yeah, that is another interesting fact. The 3 yards in cloud of dust thing. How does that open up, or coincide with what the West Coast teams usually like to do?
Yeah.
But I think the point that's being missed is, look, a road loss at a 3-6 Purdue is no longer a bad loss. It's just a loss, because there's going to be two conferences deciding who goes. So it's like, hey, the Titans can lose to the 1-15 Jacksonville Jaguars, and it doesn't matter as long as you're winning your division in your conference, and those teams are going to go. So you're going to have flukes, you're going to have weather-related issues, but it's no longer a really good Ohio State team has a bad day at Purdue, and that now precludes them from the playoff. I don't think that's where this sport's going. I think it's going to winning your division, and you're in the playoff, and you're going.
All right. Excuses. Pac-12 teams. We didn't want to play in Indiana.
I want to finish this comment because it's a question for Robbie and anybody else who wants to join in. It was, FSU is really the power of Florida football. Canes have not done anything in US. But I agree with everything you're saying, Justin, but I'm going to tell you, and I'm speaking as an SEC fan right now. And Robbie, I'm going to ask you as an SEC fan. I think Florida State, what they did in 92 by turning down an invitation to the SEC, may come back to haunt them in 2022.
So as well, at least Brandon knows, I grew up a Florida State fan growing up. And so I know all these three schools, Florida State, and Miami very well. Florida State has by far the weakest alumni base, and they don't have the money. Miami may care less about the region. South Florida may care less about the Hurricanes than Tallahassee does about the Seminoles, but that Miami money is much, much stronger. So in the day of NIL, Miami's a far bigger grab, and I don't think it's close. Florida State is an Auburn that's not tied into the SEC already.
Well said. Good analogy.
Very good point.
All right, guys, we got to move on. Anybody got any final words they'd like to add to conference realignment? Going.
I guess I've got to buy a bunch of warm weather crap because I'm going to Columbus and Ann Arbor and maybe even New Jersey.
Oh, you lived in Cincinnati for a while. Don't act like you're still all Southern Cal.
That did suck. But compared to Cincinnati, by the way, my mom asked when I moved to Cincinnati, do they have Taco Bell? I'm like, Mom, it's not Africa. But I'll take the South any day over the Midwest. No disrespect.
They've got Skyline Chili.
I got a serious question for Robbie that is about the future of this program. how come you waited this long to get your father-in-law in here with these comments? Because they're absolutely gold.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Hell,
That's
I get
very
that.
true, Frank. Buckeyes in the Big Ten have had the 3 yards.
I told Allison, I was like,
He doesn't like it.
Frank, he's obviously bored and sitting at home, and so he's watching the show. Hopefully he's gonna. Hey, Frank, like and subscribe.
Yes.
We need you on here every week.
We
His
are
mustache is all business. I really like it.
And on Facebook, we need some Facebook hits.
I want to do a couple of things here. First of all, we need 23 more subscribers on Facebook. Follow us, and we get to monetize our channel, which is a big deal for us. You know, then all this content we're making free for you, we get paid for just by you coming and watching us. Second of all, for the first time ever, we have a commercial to run, guys. And I want to run it here before we switch segments. It didn't come out exactly right, but it is something that's very important. Robbie, I want you to tell us where we can go vote for this at, too.
Yeah, so my law firm, Davis, Kessler & Davis, is up for the best personal injury law firm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And so you can go to bestofchat.com. And if you can vote for us, we really appreciate it. It helps us help the community.
And
When you are hurt, we are here to help.
Right now, we need your help.
Vote for Davis, Kessler & Davis for the best of the best personal injury law firm.
Voting is now open at bestofchat.com.
That was awesome.
that
Totally
is,
awesome.
it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. It's too small, but for the first time ever, we can run an ad in commercials.
Dude, it's lighting up in the background. Oh, man.
I love the
That
330.
fits my office.
Yeah. Tom, did you build all that yourself, or did you have to hire people?
No, Rich and I did it. We were sitting out here, as he likes to say, drinking copious amounts of alcohol, and we decided to build a bar. So we built it out of pallets, and then so it's just kind of the people will donate jerseys and whatnot. So I'll hang them in the rafters. And
Oh, that's
Nice.
great.
we got a buddy of mine who's he's in like Division III. He's an official for college football. So I got his jersey up there. Another guy that played Division III basketball, I got it up there. So if you're a friend or a fan of the Speakeasy, you want to send anything, you buy it, I fly it. That's kind of the way it works around here.
Send me your address. I got a ton of USC jerseys of players I don't like anymore.
I will get
Yeah, I'll
that.
send some Buckeye stuff up there for you, baby.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
my dad's a Buckeye. He'll appreciate that.
Now, do you have a kegerator or do you have like a bar?
Yeah, I got a kegerator and a fully
Okay.
stocked bar behind there and 3 TVs. And
What are we doing here?
Up for our NFL draft next year.
oh yeah, and if you guys come up for the when you come up for USC, I'm 20 minutes from Ann Arbor, so place to stay and get in, get out.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Let's go. All right, guys.
I might actually step foot in Michigan for that game.
Come on, you got a place to stay.
Appreciate it.
In that garage, I'll stay there all day.
Right? Just give me a sleeping bag on the floor. I'm good.
There's even carpet, so
Yeah,
Perfect.
that rug's good for me.
I want to talk just a second. Oh,
The clapper. His
Did
lights
his
aren't
lights go out again?
working.
we lost you.
I hit the wrong
We're about to start a GoFundMe for Randall.
Electricity bill.
I'm trying to be serious for a minute. Now stop.
Sorry.
All right. Our next subject is one that, you know, I got to admit that I do not have any emotion about, because I think if you smuggle drugs into another, don't smuggle drugs into Russia. Let's put it that way. But Brittney Grinder has been held for several months now. It is a sports story, but it's also a political story, which we never shy away from. I'd just like to run around the table. Each of you take a minute or two and tell your personal opinion of the current situation. It is a political storm. I don't know. I know I do not want Americans held hostage in another country, But I don't know if it was any other offense besides hashish oil, whether she would be held in another country. I know everybody's read it, and let's just go around and get a feel for it, because I'll be honest with you, I'm conflicted by the story. I do want her out. Don't get me wrong. I want all Americans back home. I do not want her in prison in Russia. But let's start with Raj. You were an attorney at one point. What is your political, or what is this about for you?
And you have to respect the laws of the land. She's a dum-dum for trying to bring vape cartridges into Russia. That being said, there's often, from what I read, accommodations made for American players, like especially marquee American players and whatnot. It does seem politically like the time is not a coincidence.
No.
It's, it got the pub we needed. Not necessarily we, but now it'd be a nice, political gesture for Russia and the U.S. to come to terms, so to speak. She's more or less a figurehead at this point. Again, a dum-dum, but I think the timing is relevant.
Tom, I do think the timing is relative, and I think the fact that it occurred right at the Ukraine invasion, I think that played a part of this. What is your take on it, and what is your feelings for what we should do to get a release?
Well, I agree. I think she is a pawn. I think the state of what's going on, I think they took an advantage of a situation that, hey, we got your person. Well, we want our guy back. So it's definitely a negotiation, which I think ultimately it's going to come down to. But you also got to look at like Paul Whelan, who's been over there for 5 years. He's been in prison there, wrongfully in prison there, and they've been trying to get him out. So I think the reasoning for her being captured, I think it's ridiculous. I agree. She shouldn't have had that stuff on her, but she's an American superstar playing in Russia. And they looked at that as an opportunity to get one up on the United States, really. And it's going to come down to, which side is willing to give up more. I think that's what it's. I don't see her staying there in prison. I really don't. And I think both sides are going to bend. But I think this country, this administration has to go, okay, we want Grinder and we want the 3 other Americans that have been held there. So, that might take some time, but hopefully everything will work out without anything going awry.
Apparently she didn't make enough money for the Russian government.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise me.
Shane, it is something that I think the people of, we've talked about, we have different political persuasions on here, but we all come back to this common sense. The people that are celebrating or rejoice about her detaining, it's nothing good. I don't care what she said about America. You can say whatever you're going to say. I still don't want you held in a foreign country if you're an American citizen.
Yeah, I mean that's first and foremost. I mean, you definitely, there's no telling what kind of different laws and everything they have over there. So to almost held captive, like you guys said, as a pawn, a negotiation tool. It's unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, did she commit a crime? Was it wrong? Yes, but here that would be looked at a little differently. And the timing is very unfortunate. It is definitely, Putin's a maniac, and what's going on over there is crazy. But to Tom's point, she's not the only one. There's a few more that have been there for a while. And as easy as us Americans would like to think that it's the snap of the fingers to get these people out of there, it's not. It's a lot more than that. I just hope and pray that this administration is doing everything it can to bring them home and get them back out of there, and do whatever legally here that needs to be done. It's fine, but just get them out of there, bring them home.
Robbie,
Yeah,
go ahead.
and I will add just for something to Brandon's thing. Allegedly, she committed a crime. We don't know that yet.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
Yes. We got to get our cover the bases on that.
Sorry, I'm not an attorney.
So my thoughts on this took me back personally to when I was backpacking as a younger kid, and how you just take for granted that the laws here that protect the innocent until proven guilty don't apply everywhere. And no one knows what happened. Like, look, she may have had it. She may have not had it. It's not going to affect one way or the other what her conviction is going to be. She is going to be convicted because that's how Russia works. And
Like
for
1%, gets.
I think it's it's less than 1%, and that's only if they want you to be acquitted. It's a sham system, so she's going to be convicted. 2, I think, hash cartridges is what I read. 10 years in prison is the punishment. And so it's look, I don't know whether she did it or not. Obviously you have to know, and this isn't her first time in Russia. She plays basketball over there, and that's where the money is. That's a whole different story for a different day. But I think Tom's right on. Look, this is a chance for this administration, the next administration, everyone to look at how we look at citizens that are either wrongfully jailed overseas or that they are excessively jailed overseas. Either way, this is a wrongful conviction or an excessive conviction. And
if Trump were president, would it be different?
No, I don't. No.
I think it would be based on him being the hero and.
This is
political. Just curious.
It's hard to be that hypothetical with what's going on with Russia right now in the war.
This was an arrest.
Affects these negotiations right now.
This was an arrest in an airport, which could be planted, could not be planted. A week before they invade Ukraine, this is a chess piece. This was not a random dog alert at an airport and 10 years in prison from an American that's
high profile person.
Yep.
Gonna be a big newsmaker.
Yeah.
And, big chess piece, like you said.
It's more than just weed, is what we're all saying.
Yes.
Oh,
100%.
Yeah. That's somewhat of a misdemeanor over here. Maybe I'm not a lawyer, but the jail time for that.
No. If you get
nothing admission is legal.
If I took a bag of weed through an airport security tank, checkpoint, that's just getting thrown in the trash these days. Hey, we don't have time to arrest people. Just you took it in there and then you move on.
That's what I'm saying. It's so much more than what that was. So I think we all acknowledge that.
Would it matter? Frank asked a good question. I've heard this debated a couple of times. Would this be a different national story if it was an NBA player like LeBron?
It would be a bigger.
It'd be a bigger story.
A lot bigger.
I don't know if there's anything more. Obviously we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I don't think it's for lack of trying to get them out.
It would start a war.
I agree with Shane. Russian laws control, and there's a lot more money behind it if it's LeBron. For this, get you out of jail. There's a lot more pressure, there's a lot more money behind it. But as far as what you can do diplomatically,
maybe
they juxtapose our laws into Russia.
LeBron
Maybe
is far
we-
too intelligent, but I know he's just
Yeah.
a point being made.
Yeah, it's just I don't think it's for lack of trying. I don't know. I know it's been kind of blown up in the media about that especially that question with her coach coming out and saying, what if it was LeBron? And it's a really good point. It's a very good hypothetical, and
It would definitely.
who knows,
The
maybe-
NBA would be making so like the NBA owns the WNBA. If people don't know that, and so
right.
it would be much more, but because the WNBA
Political
does
pressure on them,
subsidize
maybe.
so much of the girls' revenue from the Russia League, there is a informal relationship. If it was the NBA, they would be much more hard pressed against Russia, I think.
There'd be more
Trying to.
pressure on the administration.
Yeah.
But again, we're all walking on eggshells here, trying to avoid a war with Russia. So to come in over something, I mean, yes, we want our citizens back, but to create a nuclear war over something, which is potential because Putin is a lunatic. So who knows? I don't know. It's a
He's
very
going to
good
hold on
question.
to that's his trump card. He's going to hold on to Grinder as long as he can, just to see how much he can get out of it.
No pun intended.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, right.
They we try to do a little politics here every now and then. Robbie, I still congratulate you for your great speech last week. But let's move on to some sports. This story has been more talked about than any story I think in River City history. Jim Haslam continues to do everything humanly possible to train wreck the Cleveland Browns. It is almost like you watch now and you wait for something to happen. Today, he trades Baker Mayfield. I am 100% convinced that Deshaun Watson will be suspended to start the year. The winner in this to me is Baker Mayfield. I'd like to go around, hear each of your opinion. We'll start with Raj, Shane, Tom, Robbie. Just tell me your thoughts about this trade and tell me how dumb the Haslam it's hard for us here in the University of Tennessee. The Haslams are our largest donor. We have to be careful. But it, again, looks like a train
Sugar
wreck.
daddies.
Yes. All right, Raj, fire us up there.
He's stoked right now. I mean, the Browns are going to pay like a $10 million of his contract. I can't remember when he re-signed, but he'll be fine. The Browns drafted him, obviously number 1 overall. They made him the face of the franchise. The guy was probably better at acting in his Progressive insurance commercials than he was at like playing football. But I mean, how happy is he? And then he goes to, an area where, Sam Darnold, great college quarterback, isn't going to be the answer. PJ Walker, I think, is the backup there. He's going to get a chance to play with another short white guy. Not that race matters in McCaffrey, but just a great opportunity for a guy that loves to roll out and is not a guy that's just going to hand off the ball 20 times a game. In Cleveland, they do have Jacoby Brissett as the third option. But yeah, this franchise is just a disaster. I mean, I don't know how they make any money, let alone what they make now. But I guess this is the last year of his deal with a dead cap hit of like $10.5 million for Baker. I mean, I'm honestly speechless. The whole thing, how they've handled it, is just beyond a joke.
Yeah. So first off, the Browns are going to brown. That's what they do. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, there's literally jerseys in the stadium of their former quarterbacks, and I think that's like, I don't know, 17 or 18 in the last how many years now. Regardless, there was a report today from Ian Rappaport that the hearing's supposed to close tomorrow with Deshaun Watson, and the findings are very similar to the Robert Kraft.
Wash suit boosters. Keep your laundry smell.
I don't know what that was.
He did.
All right. The findings are very similar to the Robert Kraft investigation, where no physical violence, no criminal charges potentially. So Ian Rappaport is thinking that there will be potentially no suspension to little suspension. So that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother show. So you guys look that up. But aside from that, so yeah, Browns are on the hook for $10.5 million. Panthers are paying him $4.5 million. He was due $18 million this year. He took a $3.5 million pay cut to make this trade, and they get a fifth guaranteed. Potentially it could move up to a fourth depending on Baker's performance in this trade. So yes, the Panthers are the big winner here. The biggest winner on the Panthers, who is quarterback proof, is DJ Moore. And that kid is, I think he's going to actually score more than 4 touchdowns in the season. He's had consecutive seasons with over 1,200 yards from Sam Darnold and, whoever else you want to put out there. Anyway.
Fantasy tease, man. DJ
Moore.
Moore.
I know. But, yeah, so will this work? I give Baker a slight nod ahead of Sam Darnold just because he does have stretch of games when he's healthy where he can, kind of show out and look like a pretty good starter in the NFL. Let's not forget, he was a walk-on at Texas Tech, walk-on at Oklahoma, and, ended up winning the Heisman. I mean, this guy knows adversity more than anybody else. So he's at his ultimate test. This is his last lifeline, I think, in the NFL after 5 years of drafting, or after he's drafted to potentially produce in the NFL. And he's just he's had flashes of greatness, but he's injuries. And let's not forget, it was the Browns. They did try to put pieces around him and make him a little bit better, but let's not forget last year he played through a lot of injury. So I think, fully healthy, I think he definitely is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. And wouldn't it be great to see him as a starter, because they play the Cleveland Browns the first game. So that would be pretty entertaining to see. But yeah, big winners are the Panthers. Browns are going to Brown, and who knows what's happening with Deshaun. I mean, I think Dorsett is the starter. Josh Dobbs is the backup. And as long as they can keep cuffs off Deshaun, he'll show up eventually.
All right, Tom. Always a great take on the NFL, and you're semi in the area. You got to be getting some good gossip.
Well, my dad is like I said earlier, he's a Buckeye. He's a diehard Cleveland Browns fan. So he's very quiet on this front, which doesn't surprise me because he never wants to tip his hat to what he thinks. But there may be one team in the NFL that fumble more than the Browns, and that would be my Detroit Lions. But
you live in a glass house, my friend.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
Amon Ra, St. Brown.
Oh, he's a stud. We love him here.
Made a ring last year.
So with that being said, I think I don't see Watson getting out of this scot-free. I think the fact that he did not play anything last year when he could have, I think that'll come into play with some disciplinary action. But like you said, it doesn't sound like the NFL found any egregious actions from, I think the number was 12 women that they interviewed. And there was no violence. There was no, there was no sexual, we'll say, conduct as it came out. So I think that'll come into play. The Browns, I think they jumped the gun with this fully guaranteed contract. The first in NFL history, especially that amount of money. That's a big red risk. I would say they gave up on Baker a little too quick. I think he was probably at 40% health last year. His left arm was barely hanging on, but they handled it completely wrong, in my opinion. I think Baker proved maybe he's got some class in him by kind of keeping his mouth shut. This whole thing, he really didn't have any ill things to say about the Browns. God knows you probably had a lot to say, but ultimately, he's going to Carolina, a small market, going to compete for a spot that more than likely he'll win. He'll have a lot less pressure on him because Cleveland, if you ever been to a Browns game, those fans are just relentless. I mean, if they're, 10-4 or 4-10, they will come after you. And so I think that's tough to play when you're not healthy and you're making a lot of mistakes. It weighs on you. And going back to Brandon's comment, his adversity is his middle name. When the cards are down with this guy, he seems to find ways to get up. And I think pairing him with Matt Rule in Carolina, I think that's huge. I think he's the type of coach that's going to be able to design plays that fit his style of play. And there's not a better security blanket in the NFL other than Christian McCaffrey for a quarterback that tends to find his way out of the pocket more often than not. And if he's running around for his life, you've got McCaffrey sitting back there to flip the ball to. And if he stays healthy, that could be a nice combination. So definitely think risk level, Carolina didn't really take much of a risk to get, a proven starter for the most part when healthy. So I think, you know what, and must-see TV week 1, that might be the highest rated NFL game of the season because Baker's going to be ready to play and he's going to be looking for blood. So it's going to be interesting to see. But definitely Cleveland finds their way to shoot themselves in the foot. Had all the talent in the world. Odell Beckham Jr. They kind of thrown him to the scrap heap, and the Rams pick him up, and the rest is history. So, is it an organization that is just cursed? Like it is here in Detroit, maybe, but I don't know. It's tough. I'd love to see my dad get something before he passes on. So. I'm always going to root for him.
Tom,
I just think
described a Tennessee fan perfectly right there.
I was going to say, I just think they are the epitome of what have you done for me lately. They are too quick to pull the trigger constantly, and not about a 5-year plan to build a team. So,
that's a miserable sports history, man. Miserable.
So
Ernest Biner.
You're talking to a person that goes out of my way to drive further or a little further to stop at a pilot to fill up with gas so I can give the Haslam's more money. They can in turn give UT more money. I'm about to have to cut off the middleman and just give.
I think they're giving Deshaun more money. Actually.
Yeah. So, and this just goes with the Browns' failures. Like this year, it's very possible they're going to be paying 2 number 1 draft picks to not play on their team. Like that's entirely possible at the most important position in sports. Like, think about that. And then, and it's just the winners lose. The Haslams, they can't stay out of their own way. They're just greedy. And then the winners and losers of this thing, I think one of the losers may be Matt Rule, who I think he could be a good coach, but he's on his last line at Carolina now, and he's got an unproven quarterback. And so, not necessarily unproven, but it's a new system. McCaffrey better be healthy. So there's a lot of – and, like, if Baker goes there, Rule gets fired, and a new coach again, it's just constant turnaround. And, like, you're almost in football and any other sport, you may be better than to fall in the draft and get drafted higher to one of these dysfunctional franchises because they just can't get together. And the owners, they don't turn over much. Look at Matt Stafford. He spent years in Detroit.
12 years.
Good first year out of there, Super Bowl. Like, yeah,
Super Bowl.
you get that. And then on this Watson thing, I haven't read that in Rappaport article, and he may be correct. I would just, my gut would be, and it relates to that. Hey, the NFL is on smooth sailing. They're on autopilot. That new contract's coming up 2024. You can't get this wrong. So you can't say, oh yeah, you can play, and then something comes out and y'all missed this. So I think he's still suspended for the year because it's easier to play it safe because the band keeps playing. It marches on. Like, who cares what he,
They don't need him.
he's there
He
or not.
doesn't need him at all.
Well, I think the report was the
Yeah.
indefinite suspension was retracted, and that wasn't, you know.
Well, yeah, you still
what they
got
were
the
gonna
you still
say,
got this
but-
the players.
but it still
the
could potentially
CPA,
be
because they're
still
gonna have to
potentially
appeal
be a
it,
year.
and so. But yeah, I think I can't imagine Deshaun Watson playing this year. With
I
those
mean, I would
sort of-
like to think not, but
You have to
who
look
am I?
at you have to look at what's going on in this country with women's rights and whatnot. We won't go there, but if he does not get suspended, what message does that say to women, whatever?
Yeah, that's what I'm
another
saying.
topic. And
The biggest growing demographic in the NFL, sorry to interrupt, is women.
yeah, for sure. And I just think this also sets a precedent. Okay, this is something the NFL's never dealt with before. So, how are they going to set it to where this doesn't happen again? We have to not let this happen again, so players will realize that there is a price to pay.
Well, the biggest black eye on the NFL that I can remember, I'm just it just popped in my head when you brought that up, was when they suspended Ray Rice for 2 games. They made a decision. Then, good gosh, everything hit the fan, and they don't want that with Deshaun Watson. They'll keep him on the sideline as look, you're not important, man. The Browns made their mistake. They can pay you whatever they want, but
exactly. Well,
we're not getting in this game.
And to that point, and I think you said this last week when we were talking about it. We would want nothing more, especially the NFL and the owners, for the Browns to fail at this guaranteed contract because of that amount of money and taking a risk on a player like that with that amount of money. I mean, it's absurd, and salary caps are going to go crazy if this happens, and it's not a good look.
Guys,
man, I hope they don't mess this up.
I hate to wrap us up, but we're a little over time. We got a couple more segments to get from. Great conversation. I'm sure the Browns makers. This is a great show, Tom. You're going to have to join us a little more for some football.
Anytime.
And
He's good.
You just tell me when, and I'm here.
Far more eloquent
I
than
have
any of us.
also volunteered to come on Speakeasy, but I have yet to get an invite.
Yeah, same.
That's
Or Easy Speak, I should say.
If we ever do another show, Rich is really busy. So we'll definitely, when we do put one together, you guys will be on.
We have to do like a Ohio State Michigan special or something.
Oh, yeah.
In
studio.
Tom's Garage.
Tom's Garage. I'll fly up. I'll fly up. Let's go.
We may just steal.
You got an open invitation
for our northern correspondent for River City Media. But we have a regular segment where Robbie loses you money on NASCAR. We call it Bet Your Nuts.
It's been a rough season. I cannot get these new cars under control.
I've been on the cars, bro.
We give you your best bet. Tom, I should have prepared you for this. I don't know if I did. If not, you just throw something out to one of our bets. We bet our nuts, and each one of us bets the other one's bets. And Robbie, Annalee's not going to college if you don't start getting some shit right on NASCAR. I'm just going to say it right now.
He said the S word.
I did.
Yeah. Here comes the FCC on us again.
3 digits. 3 digits this year. So I'm going to start by making money. I'm going to go to Raj Mehta first. Robbie, you really think about your pick. You're going last. Got to get it right.
I'll
go first. I'll go first. I'll give you
please.
think about it. I'm going to jump all the way to the home run derby. I'm going to go last year, home run derbies, Cinderella. The biggest name in pro baseball right now, the major league sweetheart, the one guy that winning the home run derby would shake the foundation. And it's one of those guys that I think likes the home run derby. I'm going to give you Shohei Ohtani to win the home run derby and Pete Alonso to make the finals against Shohei. Plus 140 for Shohei to win the home run derby. Raj, I was actually prepared. I didn't make this stuff up in the last second, so you can go now.
Well, I'm about to make it up, but even though we've had this segment for a year,
you forget about it.
As a baseball fan and Dodger fan, I hate when my guy is in the home run derby. It seems to wear them out. Every guy talks about it. Jock Peterson didn't get enough PT in LA, but he said he was like dead afterwards. But Shohei is, a marquee guy, and the Angels are never going to do anything without Vladimir Guerrero. But I bet you're nuts. It was on the Dodgers tonight, but it was actually the other way with Jose Urena pitching, former Marlin. He's not great, but the Dodgers were like minus 335. However, I don't like betting against my team. So I like to do over-unders. In honor of our guest, I was looking at Detroit 6.5 for the NFL win total. Oh, I hate to say this, but I think it would be under, but then again, the division blows. So, and
Listen,
Amon Ra is a USC guy who got me my fantasy championship last year. So let me ask Tom. I'll take his word. Detroit Lions 6.5. Could they win 7 games? That's a lot of games.
I think that's a good number. I like them to win. If they don't win 7 games this year, Dan Campbell needs to be removed as head coach. We love him here. He is an absolute spark plug. But I think 6.5 is probably a really good number, and I would take that.
You're not helping me,
sure.
but
just for the record,
the draft was exceptional there. They did great.
Their front office is one like we've never seen in this city ever, and they're getting it right. And let's see if it shows.
Wasn't hard to look good there, though.
No.
I sent a text to the Speakeasy guys several weeks ago, and I want it documented on this show. Tom, I did declare the Detroit Lions are going to the playoffs. Did I not?
You did, and I believe I threw a cornbread gif at you because we get a lot of that preseason Super Bowl winners around here. I don't agree yet. I think they are well on their way. Like I think Brandon mentioned, Cleveland doesn't have the. They look at now instead of 5 years down the road. I think the Lions are looking 3 years down the road, and I think in 3 years they're going to be probably running for the division. So maybe not yet. The city would go bananas.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I love Deontay Swift this year too. His
schedule is soft. I'll take the over.
Yep.
They can beat
over
a lot of these teams.
Take that over. Brandon Chain.
All right, I got a couple since it's kind of a weird time in sports right now. I'm going to go futures. We're going to take Kansas City Chiefs over 10.5 wins this season.
That's an easy one. Even though
that's
it's
a
tough
big
division.
favorite of mine.
No, it's not. The AFC.
Well, everyone's down on them because they
strong
lost
as heck.
Tyreek, but you still got some of the best talent on that team. So I'm
best
taking
division
that.
in
I think
football.
that's easy money. So yeah, we'll put a little future on that. But let's look. I'm a big golf guy. We're going to the Scottish Open this weekend, and I'm looking to finish top 5. I like, and you can kind of spread these out because you never want to just really take one. And I'll give you a long shot winner here. But The top 5 finishers, I think that's pretty easy money, would be Justin Thomas and Scotty Scheffler. I think they'll both finish in the top 5 there. And for a long shot winner at plus 2,800 is Will Zalatoris.
I read that. I didn't know how to pronounce his name, but I read that.
Will Zalatoris, man, that kid is due. He has been in every major, all the big time stages. This guy performs. I love those odds, and plus 2,800.
I will say this about Zalatoris.
That's good.
He could just be kind of like Randall. Like Randall's always in the playoffs but never wins.
Always.
No, that kid's too good. He's gonna win.
Yeah, he's way better.
I'll be on mute just for the record.
He keeps the lights on.
All right, Tom, listen, Robbie's going to lose his money. Give us something we're going to make money on first.
Do the opposite of what he's about to say.
Well, as being up here in Big Ten Michigan country, I'm new to this bit and maybe a little ill-prepared, but I'll see here. Looking at Michigan's schedule in football, has to be one of the easiest in the country. You have 8 home games. You have
Harbaugh.
Your first month home games. You don't play a meaningful game really until the end of October against Michigan State. So with that being said, 10 wins, definitely. If they can't get 10 wins, then Harbaugh needs to be put on a plane and sent and traded for Griner in Russia. So I think over under Michigan Wolverine wins 10.
Nice.
I met Robbie, by the way, but yeah, I thought he was going to the Raiders. Dude's like 40-14 in the NFL. But yeah, there's no doubt he schedules these patsies to be high ranked coming into when they get smoked by Ohio State.
He wanted to go to the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders wanted him.
Mm-mm.
That's what happened.
Probably true.
This is his last road as far as coaching goes.
Yeah.
He
should have left and been assistant AD or something after last year. I mean, beating Ohio State, that was his mecca. Finally
go out on top. Yep.
Yeah, go out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't. Then you would forget about all the rest of his track record, right? If he just retired that way.
He's an
I
a-hole.
hope we just come back and just beat the crap out of y'all this year. And
This schedule's awful.
It's bad.
All right.
Holy.
I need focus. Mr. Davis is going to give us a winner.
Connecticut? Hawaii?
All right, so I know I've had a rough go at it this season. I'm 0 at the moment, but so the race this weekend's in Atlanta. It's the 400-mile race. So this is the 10th year they've ran it, and 50% of the time, though, a Toyota car has won this race. So what is that?
Is that old cars or new cars?
No, this is the first of the new gen brand. That's why I'm having so much trouble. New gen cars.
You can't go off 50%.
Toyota cars are horrible, and that's why I lost them.
Anyways, I didn't tell you how dumb your bets were, so don't tell me how my bet is. So
touche.
I'm going back with Old Faithful, grabbing the old pony out of the shed. And no, I'm not even going Kyle Lawson. He drives a Chevrolet. Get with it. I'm going Denny Hamlin. So Denny Hamlin, he is 12-1. Bet your $100, you win 1,200. I'm gonna try to talk my way into going down to this race in Atlanta. I don't know if I'll be able to get to because I have no friends, but I'm gonna try to do it.
I wonder how you're going to enjoy community college because at this rate, it's Chattanooga State. We can't even go to UT unless you start hitting. Because we're in trouble. Last segment, Tom, we do a little bit thing called closing, and it's open to anything you want to say. I want to start us off by saying a couple of things, and I'll let everybody else take a second here. last week, Robbie, I want to praise you again. We do not run from political controversy here. We do not run from each of us having maybe sometimes different political opinions. I respect so much this group of guys that you challenge me and you make me a better man. I want to also announce, after thinking about what had been happening, I have long time worked for the Marion Messenger, a local newspaper. This week I made a decision, and we're going to do it on a basis of open news. We're going to let both sides speak. We're going to let everyone speak. We started our own website. It is going to be a local newspaper with some national online column. It'll take us about 30 days to get running. It's going to be called the Lakeside Times Journal. I'm hoping to find people of all persuasions. I have a young kid that lives downtown that's very passionate about our inner city. I've approached him about doing some things. I challenge you, if you talk to your friends. That's the way all this gets better, is by common discussion and not guns and fire. And, if my friend can talk to me and change my opinion, then more power to you. And
talk and discussion are the key words, not argue.
Exactly.
As a moderate, no one even knows what that word means anymore. Yeah. Neither side has a clue what moderate says. I used to refer to myself as a moderate Republican. I've dropped Republican. I'm just a moderate now, and I'm looking for a candidate somewhere in the middle. Congratulations to all you guys that are willing to take a stand, make a stand, and represent something. I'm proud to be associated with you. Raj Mehta.
Not much. This is Rosie, my one-eyed chihuahua who had a horrible previous owner, but great story, but her breath smells like diapers that were used. To your point, the Supreme Court can rot in where. They've recently, as we discussed, more or less turned Roe over, but the practical effect is not as significant in the sense that, as Rob said, certain despite again the mother being completely irrelevant according to the decision, a lot of these states where it's not a shock, if you give them the choice, they would have done that. But the Supreme Court's also backed up gun rights multiple times, with Clarence Thomas leading the way. And dude, the Second Amendment was made 300 years ago. Again, not to be overly political, but why does anyone need a weapon that's designed to kill multiple people in a quick amount of time? Hunting, whatever, do your thing. Do whatever you want. I mean, kid was backed up. He passed 4 background checks and verified by his dad. And, it just seems to be bigger and better when it comes to these things. And the next one, will any of us be able to go to any public event, let alone these sporting events that we all adore? It's just frightening, those scenes of kids and chairs overturned and strollers left. Like, nothing is sacred anymore.
Good point. And we've discussed in the past, there is a limit to everything. Brendan Chain.
All the government.
You know what, buddy? Bring it home. What do you got for us?
No, I'll just to kind of reiterate your point. I appreciate just conversation.
Absolutely.
We very rarely get into political views, but we kind of dip that way. And I'm a Republican, but we can have a conversation without argument and try and learn from each other. And that's what betters us, to actually hear the other side and what's really going on. So I do appreciate that. And the fact that we don't just get mad after 2 minutes and blow up and, whatever. So much appreciation to all you guys. And yeah, I love the show. Love you guys and respect your opinions. And, you know, we all try to just grow and learn.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. Discussion, discussion, discussion. Tom, I know you feel the same. You're a very politically oriented James yourself, but you also, you know, you represent and you discuss because you research. And I think that's missing on a lot of people.
I think the biggest word that gets lost in this is respect. You have to respect someone else's opinions, and you got to listen. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. They just stop listening, and they just disrespect. And I think if you take all the nonsense out of the mix, what's important? Safety of our children, safety of parade goers. Randall, you're well aware. I go to a lot of concerts. I was at a concert last Saturday. I don't think for a minute I thought what happened here, because guess what? There was no metal detectors. 700 person venue, tight space, no metal detectors, walking in and out. And so definitely the thought of someone pulling out a gun crossed my mind, and it crossed my mind immediately. So I think people need to respect one another, listen to one another, because you might hear something that you wouldn't normally hear from somebody on the other side, and it might make sense. It might touch something that you already feel but are afraid to come out and say it because you're affiliated with a certain party. So I think we need to put our differences aside, because people are dying. People's rights are being taken away. And that's just, for a country that's the greatest country in the world, we got to keep moving up. And right now we're nosediving down. And I think the only people that can save it are us. And I think the only way we save it is with intelligent conversation and being able to say, I agree with you, whether party you're affiliated or not. I think that's the most important thing. We need to find a way to meet somewhere in the middle that benefits the American people, not just a particular party.
Yep. That's the only way you get there, is by conversation and accepting others' views and points on that. You know, that's how you get to the middle.
Yep.
That's the wonderful thing about this, Tom. Just doing this show with the last year with these guys. And I am, like I said, a moderate Republican, but I've had so many conversations that have made me rethink what I was programmed to think and challenge me to say, you know what? I may have heard this all my life, but is that true? You know, so that intelligent discussion has made me a better man. It made me look at things with humanity. And that's what, and you said it just then. At the end of the day, what do we all want? We want our kids safe. We want our home safe. We want the people we love safe. We want people taken care of. Great point. Robbie Davis, man of the hour. Do I need to run your commercial before or after you say this?
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I mean, just to top on everything else. And Randall, I want to commend you for your willingness. You're the one running the show. And oftentimes it's been off script, and I know I went places that I don't know if people have been comfortable with, and that's a reflection just on me, not on you, like, or anyone else on the show, like. But you've let me talk and express my opinion on things, and I appreciate that.
I like that very much.
And I think everyone's kind of said it, and just I want to reiterate it. Like, we can't discuss things with a premise of, because I don't agree with you, you are wrong, before you listen to what they say. And that's what we've gotten into, is you're not on my team, so you're wrong, or I'm not listening to you. And that's the hurdle we've got to get over. And because we can still talk and we can still be civil. Look, we can take our league of 12 fantasy football players. At least I'm on the other side of the aisle of 8, probably, maybe more. And we all get along, we can all talk, and that's because we can be civilized. And we can, as Americans, be civilized, and we can talk. It just takes effort. But my last words tonight are about a horrible story I heard about the shooting that happened in Highland Park. A 2-year-old was left an orphan because both of their parents were shot down by an angry white young man that was able to get an assault rifle. And
the dad died protecting his 2-year-old.
Yes.
He died on top of him.
Yeah, that's just. And then I heard another story of a daughter who, a 21-year-old, I believe, 21 or 22, saw her mom shot. It's like, I knew she was dead. I just had to say I love you and run away because he was still shooting at me. I don't care what you think about gun laws. Something's got to happen.
Got to stop.
I'm not for taking guns all the way away. I'm not, but something's got to change.
Well, again, if you look at the track record on his social media, there are 1,000 red flags. So why can social media control so much other things and not red flag this kind of thing? Like, this is a big problem because a lot of these people want to be famous and respected and loved, and they post all this stuff all the time. And there's so much research and red flags on this.
Yes,
and nobody pays attention until it happens. And they're like, well, he's been posting this for 2 years that he wanted to kill somebody. Like, what the hell are we doing?
And
the cops came.
As an attorney, I can break one of the founding things about the attorney system is attorney-client privilege. I, as an attorney, can break the attorney-client privilege belongs to the client. So I cannot say anything without their permission. An exception to that, if I think they're going to commit a crime, I can break that privilege and I can alert the authorities. Social media companies need to be held accountable. If they think somebody is going to commit a murder, a mass murder, they need to be held accountable for not doing so. They've got all the information in the world, all the algorithms. They know everything that's going on.
Absolutely. And it's so easy to red flag that with their algorithms.
Yes.
So,
Media networks after that. I won't name any, but I'll leave you with this. The 2-year-old with conviction said, "Mommy and Daddy are coming soon."
Coming soon.
Ain't that a huge blood?
Yeah.
I read it and it broke my heart.
Yep.
Yeah. It's horrible.
It's sick.
We have an obligation. Last month we had 52,000 hits on our website. It creates an obligation to us to have those conversations. And
even if one person listens, just one.
Yeah. It's not about sides. It's about humanity.
Yeah. And as long as us 5 tonight preach that story, no matter your political persuasion, that's what we're telling you. Listen with your ears open to the truth and decide and find your own truth. That is the key. Years ago, it was about religious freedom. You can't have religious freedom till you listen to everyone's side. How do you know what's right? How do you know what's wrong? Same thing with these arguments today. Listen. And when you speak with fact. And that's what I respect about all these men. Tom, you had something you wanted to say real fast?
Well, going back to the shooter, in 2019, the police were called because he was threatening to kill his whole family. And then the police came back out because he was threatening to kill himself, and he had knives. The knives were removed from the house. So there has to be something in law that when you apply for a gun, these things pop up. And that was just 3 years ago. And Now the blood, the blood of the 7 people, you hate to say it, is on the hands of whoever, the state of Illinois or whoever would be the responsible party of allowing him to get a gun. And shame on his father, who called the police on him, who co-signed for the weapons permit. And it all just comes down to how much is enough. I mean, use your ears, look around, and just it's going to affect somebody here sooner or later. Don't think it won't, because it will.
Well, we've seen 2 mass shootings in our community in the last 3 months.
Well said, man. Well said.
And it's well said. Everyone, thank you for listening to River City Media. We didn't mean to get political, but we do this every now and then. But we don't get political. We get on with you. Please like and follow us. We need 23 more people. I know you support us, and we support you. If you ever want to come on and offer a different opinion, the door is open. We don't these people on here now are not celebrities. We're friends out
We
inside
respect all opinions.
If you would like to appear,
It's a safe place.
Just let us know. We'll come on and talk. It's a safe place, except Robbie's gambling.
He's good.
That man,
And we're not even political. We're just humanity.
Yeah. We just have conversations about
Yeah.
what's real in our heart. So, yeah.
for Raj Pac, for Robbie Davis, for Brandon Chain, from Tom Sloan, from the Speakeasy 33, Randall Cunningham, from River City Media. Peace.
Michigan sucks.